everyone, and welcome to another episode of Lifting Disclosure in the Media. I'm here with Ryan Polenkarns again, and we are doing an intro to the game Starfield. This is something that I wasn't expecting to do, but it looks like a very interesting topic, actually. And then I'm going to do what we now do with a lot of the lifting episodes. Even though I don't have affirmations, blessings for these episodes generally, I'm just going to say I open this circle to true benevolence only, with no conflicting agendas. I will leave it at that for this, even though traditionally in lifting episodes we have usually done now affirmations and blessings. So, Ryan, go right ahead and start.
Okay, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about the new Bethesda title, Starfield. It is a space exploration and I guess it's a space exploration and uh, story-driven game made by the same people that have been making the Elder Scrolls and Fallout, and it fits well into what we talk about here due to some of its cool story aspects. It is brand new, so there will be spoilers for the main storyline. So if you want those, probably come back after you've played the game, because we're going to heavily spoil what happens in the story here. Because the story is really the most interesting quest line well, at least so far, that I've run into when it comes to what we do. So yeah, this is sort of their branding and logo. And here's just a really, really beautiful shot of a player character on the surface of one of the planets that you can go to. You can go all over the galaxy, landing, exploring like moons, planets that have an atmosphere. Like you can go in atmosphere planets, or you can wear your spacesuit and then you can go out in planets without an atmosphere. You can mine resources. You can clear dungeons that are sort of similar to like Fallout, where you run through and there's either bandits or pirates or whatever. You can join space pirates if you want in this game, and you become a space pirate, or you could become part of like the government faction trying to shut down the space piracy. You can become a lawman, like in an old western style sense, but like a space cowboy lawman. You can become part of the fleet. The fleet that basically goes around the one faction and is like the civilian soldiers that aid in the defense. And then if you do that quest line, you get to learn about some crazy xeno warfare, which is basically let's take alien species, mix them together, and then try to make super creatures for war. Yeah, so there's a lot of different cool quest lines. There's even one where you're like a corporate espionage artist and you go around and you like basically sneak into other corporations and can basically throw them under the bus for things that they did that didn't come to the light of day, and then like take stuff back for your corporation. And that one gives you a really interesting power in the end, where it's like, we can mind control people, we have the technology, is it ethical to use it? We're going to give it to you to test it out.
No, that's actually very interesting. This reminds me of Firefly, but this also reminds me of like the Alien movies, where the corporations were in charge of space, or the company was in charge of space. That's supposed to be the cabal, like ICC corporations. So it's set up like that, mixed with secret space program, genetic modification, super soldiers, mixing animal DNA, all that other stuff. And the Wild West look was like how Firefly was. So against the
Yeah.
Alliance,
The
Alliance.
corporations
So
are only big in the one city, really, though. It's like they're spread out all over, but they're kind of only really all playing this game in one city. Otherwise, you don't really hear much of them. So the game starts, and you're a miner on a remote rock in space, uh, and you are in a mine, and they come upon this strange room with floating cubes of strange metal that they can't cut with their mining lasers, because you use lasers to mine in this game, which is cool.
mhm.
Uh, but your character is sent to go down there, and they get an artifact that predates human exploration off of Earth. But also to preface, this game takes place in like 2303 or 2330, somewhere in there.
Mm.
So it's a couple like 300 years from now. We have left Earth and we have colonies all over uh, the Milky Way, but we don't have Earth anymore. We'll get into why. So the art, when you get the artifact, you go and give it to this group called Constellation. Constellation is basically a space exploration group trying to unravel the mysteries of the universe that like and cosmos and explore new planets and stuff. And they're trying to figure out what these artifacts are. They already have one, and you bring them their second one, and then over the course of the game, you collect more, and it starts making these rings that kind of are all together. You can kind of see the basic outline of them in like the energy pattern, and that creates something called an armillary, which we'll get into in a minute. And on top of that, there is alien life to be found, and but there is no intelligent alien life to be found apart from humanity.
Mm.
With one exception, but you have creatures like this, which are most. There's a lot of like insectoid type creatures. There's things that look like dinosaurs. There's things that look like wolves. There's these crazy flying jellyfish things. There's like dragony looking things. All kinds of different like life forms. And some are hostile, some aren't, and you actually can go on like planets with life. You can scan them on, and then you can sell that data to like different groups that are interested in learning about the different makeups of planets.
Mm.
So this is
That seems I didn't mean to interrupt, but that seems to be like how some of these different factions that go out and explore, dimensionally explore planets, kind of like the Stargate teams and Stargate SG-1 and Atlantis. It's very similar. They collect things for corporate usage or scientific analyzation. Some of those things become products here on Earth in different compartmentalized projects. That's really what I wanted to say. I didn't mean to interrupt that.
No, you're good. So this is an image of the main hub city on the planet of Jemison. And oh god, what is the name of this city? This city has got a. I'm gonna have to look up this city's name. I never. I just know it as like the main city. But like basically the constellation base, the lodge is there. Oh, it's called New Atlantis.
Hmm.
And it's in the Alpha Centauri system, and it's the capital of the United Colonies.
Hmm.
And this is basically the main big city of humanity left at this point.
Hmm.
Historically speaking, we know that the United Colonies and its rival faction, the Freestar Collective, fought a giant war like 20 years before the game using mechs and stuff and xeno warfare, like the genetic warfare against each other. And in the end, the United Colonies lost to the Freestar Collective. So the universe is in a bit of a tenuous situation at the moment between these two human factions. That one's basically all about freedom and being able to kind of live your life the way you want to live it. The other one's sort of a bit more controlling.
Hmm.
This is the more controlling faction, the United Colonies. It really really well parallels the dichotomy between like rural people and city people in America at the moment.
Yeah, and also, yeah, that also makes sense for you said Alpha Centauri. There's like this huge to do right now about there's future humans that come from Alpha Centauri, and they're basically they had a launch site in Chile that they said from their timeline was the first flight of making contact with our cousins in Alpha Centauri, and they were going to unite us into a big bigger like the whole Galactic Federation thing. I've heard this part of the story before. This is a bit of GF or Galactic Federation propaganda they've inserted in there. That's more of almost like a communist or socialist sort of Marxist sort of way of doing things. And I even heard something recently that validates this kind of thing, where they're trying to get Earth into that, so where they can control things here and make Earth like theirs, but they're trying to sell it as, it's like the Federation on Star Trek sort of thing, but it's more like you have to be like them follow their trees, follow their rules, stuff like that. And also, where am I going with this? The politics involved are pretty ugly. And also, in some instances, they have their monetary system is socialist, but then there's other areas that are capitalist, like Coruscant on in Star Wars lore. But then you have other areas like that New Atlantis that are gleaming cities like that, where there it is more like you'll follow this set of rules, you don't deviate from this. Very much like what you said, that how that faction was acting. It's very, very similar. So that the Alpha Centauri story that was in there is slightly dubious as far as I'm concerned. It's more of like the GF's way of getting us, selling us a line to get into their organization, kind of a form of gaslighting. And also the spacesuit that's in there, I find that interesting. This is what they use in the secret space program, on Mars especially. I have seen this time and again the Halo suits as well, like Master Chief, and with the Super Soldier program, Spark program. This is also something seemingly similar, where you have this type of spacesuit, the really articulated ones. They use these on Mars primarily, as far as I know, and also the fact that you start out as a miner on an asteroid that's more of a belter. That's how some slaves are being kept out there at the moment by the ICC to mine resources. They're
Or
workers that work out there. Yeah,
not
yeah.
really a slave. You're just a miner on like a
Oh, okay.
moon somewhere.
Yeah, in reality, they're more slaves. In the game, they're more
Yeah,
like open. But yeah, yeah, it's similar. It's
yeah.
very similar. Yeah.
So yeah, there's different spacesuits you can put on. This is one of them. But basically the main point of having them is for in when you explore planets that don't have an atmosphere, so that you can breathe, and they also act as armor, in the game. But I mean, like sometimes I find outfits I like better that aren't really that armored, and I wear those, especially in areas where I can breathe without them. And most NPCs won't be wearing spacesuits in places where they can't breathe, where they can breathe freely. So that's why. Like, there's really
Mhm.
no point because they're already unarmored. Um, this is a good way to show off some of the weapons tech of this future world. I mean, this thing's basically a P90, but it shoots a way bigger bullet. That's a 7.77 millimeter. For instance, that's big. That's a bigger bullet than like what the M16 shoots in real life. So yeah, it's just a big bullet version of the P90, but it's called the Grendel. It's one of the earlier game weapons that you can run into,
Hmm.
and then basically all the weapons have like this version, like their base version, and they have like their upgraded version, which is like a late game version. Here's another one of the main cities. This is Neon, the pleasure city and corporate capital of the galaxy. It's a partner in the Freestar Collective, which is sort of this like the freer people side one, and the corporations clearly want to go there because there's less overhead for them and they can kind of do what they want. But Neon is in partnership with the Freestar Collective because Neon is self-governed, and because it's like a pleasure city, it reminds me of something of like a cyberpunk sort of place. It's very covered in neon lights, and there's like nightclubs and corporate offices and a drug that's only legal there. That's basically Jet from Fallout 4. It does the same thing as Jet from Fallout 4, but it's called Aurora, and it's made from fish oil, this native fish species oil and chemicals.
This is kind of like a mix between Coruscant from Star Wars and Blade Runner. And a bit of Vegas in there too. So it's like it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. If anybody's seen the Blade Runner series,
Mm-hmm.
of both movies, it kind of reminds. It has that kind of Blade Runner, also Andorish feel to it as well, a little bit. It
Yeah,
has
you can
that kind of vibe.
join. Yeah, you can join you can join corporations, you can join street gangs, you can all kinds of quests bring you to Neon because there's so much of a seedy underbelly to it, as well as the high class party city. And there's different levels of Neon. So like the underbottom, there's like the lowest dregs of society where like the fishery for where this drug is being processed uh is, and then there's like the slum housing next to it, and then like the next level is like residential stuff for like the mid tier people, and then this top area is the neon core where like all the businesses are, and like the richest people live, and the nightclubs are, and the shops are. Here's another of the major cities. This is Aquila City. This is the capital of the Freestar Collective. It is in oh uh I know I think the name of the system is just the Aquila system as well. No, it's the Cheyenne system. Um and it's a lot. It's very similar to like kind of an old west town. When you're walking through there, you could feel like you're in like this futuristic version of the old west. Um in fact, one of the first things that you see when you enter the city is the Rangers, the Freestar Rangers, which are just like the Texas Rangers or the NCR Rangers from Fallout New Vegas, just dropped
Hmm.
into this setting, and you can join the Rangers, and they have a really cool quest line. But you can either help the Rangers stop a bank robbery in process while you're like right after you land, and then the head ranger sees you doing that. It's like you should join the Rangers, and then you go and join the Rangers if you want to join the Rangers. Um, one of your main companions in the game's great grandfather founded this city and the Freestar Collective. Just kind of, and that's like a cool thing, and you get to explore a bit of the history of the Freestar Collective through traveling with that companion a bit more because he'll tell you stories about his thing, or the game will like notice he's with you, and NPCs will comment like, "Oh, you have a co," and his last name's Co, and they'll be like, "Oh, you have a co in your company," and so certain factions will really like that, like Freestar Collective. But if
Hmm.
you're with like the UC, they're gonna like kind of be like, "Why are you working with that guy? His family created our rival faction."
Oh, okay. They have kind of like a Hatfields and McCoys thing going on, or like the Raiders in Fallout versus the regular people, that sort of thing. Yeah, it kind of has that vibe going on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit more. It's a bit more like if you had the Minutemen versus the Institute.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that does make more sense. Or Kabbalistic state versus the regular people. Yeah. Yeah.
You get, like I've said, so one of the coolest aspects of the game is you get to build your own ships and fly them and like travel the universe in them. And you can there's dog fighting in the ships in atmosphere or like while you're in space. And here's just a really cool shot somebody took of their cockpit while they're in combat with the Crimson Fleet, which is the pirate faction, who in the beginning of the game are enemies to you, but if you join them in the game, they stop being enemies to you when they like first see you. In fact, you can become a pirate and you can help the pirates overthrow the government faction trying to shut them down.
That's interesting. There are actual space pirates out there that actually act against the Galactic Federation and Mayan Federation and all the little factions. They're considered terroristic factions, but at the same time, they want to be able to do dealings with Earth. There, some of them are salvagers. Some of them are soul pirates, like in the soul trade too. There's assholes too that will grab people's light bodies. They like to throw little nets over an area and grab certain chemicals and certain energies from people. Like pirates also can be seen as like these are more like the Somali pirates, not like the cool Jack Sparrow kind. It's more like they will take chemicals from your liver because they can sell it on the market out there. They'll take chemicals from your brain because they can use it to synthesize some vaccine out in space or something. Or then you have the soul pirates and the soul trade, what we said in a previous episode in the Elder Scrolls Soul Trade one. But there are pirates exactly like this that want to, and I have done channelings with some of them before. Some of them are telepathic, came through and was actually trying to say their piece that there was actually good factions that don't believe in the fascism of the Galactic Federation either. So you have a similar dichotomy or dynamic here. It's the same feel.
So now we get to talk about a bit of the technology of this universe, and we'll start with the Grab Drive, which is basically their faster than light travel answer. In this universe, it basically creates a rift in space that allows you to instantly transport yourself to anywhere else that you want to go. So much so that it is sort of now kind of seen as just the main mode of transport. The problem with it was we didn't have any way to do it, so it'd take hundreds of years to get to colony worlds that you want to like colonize. And that's why there weren't that many before the institution of the grav drive. In fact, one of the coolest quests in the game, in my opinion, is you come upon a planet where there's a basically like a big resort hotel. It's like if you had went to like Sandals or like Atlantis and like the Bahamas.
Hmm.
It's a lot like that. It's like a tropical paradise world where people just go for vacation. And you come into orbit and there's a ship that can't communicate with you, and the corporation that runs this like vacation spot is like, yeah, there's this ship that we can't make contact with that's like not violent and just sitting in atmosphere, I mean in orbit with us. Can you go check it out? So you dock with it and you find out it's a colony ship from before the time where grav drives exist, and they've been on their way to this planet for 300 years thinking that they had the right to settle there. They get there and there's already this whole thing, and they're like, what clearly must have happened is technology leapfrogged us while we were traveling out here, and there was no way that we would have ever heard about it because we've just been traveling space. And then you have to basically break it to this plant, the corporation, that yeah, there's this group of settlers in orbit and they're direct descendants from Earth, and they left from Earth 200 years ago and they want to live here. And you can either help them get retrofit their ship with a grav drive so that they can find a new planet to live on, or you can basically indentured servitude them to this corporation to live on this planet that they want to live on but isn't theirs to colonize anymore.
Oh, okay.
Or you can just kill
That's
them.
interesting. That's
I
funny
chose
how
to.
that's always funny how that's an option.
Yeah. No, I mean the one corporate exec is like, I mean, it's easier for everybody if you just off these people.
Uh, God, that's funny. Um,
And I'm just like, no, I'll buy them a gravity drive so that they can go find a new place to live.
Yeah, I wouldn't shoot him down either. I mean, out of curiosity, I'd see how the story would play out and then back it up and do it again. But that's
It's
fine.
not a major quest. It's just something that you can run into. So it's not like the biggest problem in the game, but it's a cool quest and I had fun with it. And
Hmm.
one of the coolest parts is there's old Earth weapons. So there's like an old Earth shotgun, which is like a Remington 870. There's the 1911 pistol, which is like the old Earth pistol, and all of these characters have their old Earth weapon equivalents because that's all they would have access to. And when you finish their quest, they give you like the highest end weapon. If like you don't kill them, they give you the
Hmm.
highest end weapon they have available to them, which is better than a bunch of the weapons contemporary because it's like old Earth tech, which usually is like high end weapon gear.
Hmm.
And I don't know why, because like it doesn't make sense, but it's a really good weapon in the game.
It probably makes a little sense, like if you had a corporation out there that was regulating, say, what the how that those weapons would evolve. Some people would have the lesser versions of it. It's like in galactic history where they're trying to some factions, including the Orions, are trying to re-obtain what they had during the Orion Wars. There was a de-evolution in certain technologies out in the galaxy because things got shattered during the Orion Wars, except for some races that never were completely affected by that, like the Ligurians or well, Lyrans too, because they re-emerged on their planet in this timeline, but they are in this time frame. But then you had others like the Fjorgi and all others that weren't on some of the boots that weren't completely affected. Cassiopeia was not completely affected. So, but some were not as far along. But I could see if somebody was really regulating something like that, how something from earlier would have been stronger. I could kind of see if you refine it down to that in the storyline, if they would put that in there, that it was more regulated and more constricted. I could see how it'd be lesser than something that wasn't previously, that was more free and open. I could see how that would happen. This is also like the show Earth 2 years ago, where the Earth was dying because it was overly polluted, so they went out to look for a new home. That way, this kind of has the same vibe from Alien to Firefly to Earth to any of those. This seems to have that same vibe. I'm curious to play this from the time of this recording. I've never actually played this. It just came out, so I'm curious now. I'll probably get glued to this like I did Skyrim, but this looks very interesting to me.
Yeah, and but the grav drive did come with its own uh, negative effects. So to preface this, NASA learned how to make the grav drive because one of these artifacts was found on Mars when we got to Mars in like 2050. So most likely by 2100 they had this artifact. They learned how to make the grav drive, but early grav drives weren't exactly efficient, and they were being used in atmosphere on Earth to leave Earth.
Mm.
Now, in the current era, there's legislation where you have to like get up into orbit and then you can grav drive. But in the early days, they didn't realize this, so they were using the grav drives in atmosphere on Earth, ripping holes in the atmosphere to leave.
Mm.
Eventually, Earth couldn't cope with that, and the atmosphere leaked out of the holes that were being ripped in it, and Earth is now uninhabitable, has no atmosphere, and the only real structures you can find, because it's been abandoned for like 150 years, and there's no atmosphere, are derelict, massive buildings from the like leaving era.
Mm. Okay.
And that's it. And there's only a few of them. There's like a tower, the Tower of London. There's a NASA facility in what would be Florida, and there's a few others, and that's it. And
Mm.
otherwise, it just looks like a rock. But like when you're in atmosphere, you can still make out the continents, but you can't. There's no life on Earth at this point. There is settlement in the solar system. On Titan, the moon, one of the moons of Jupiter, I believe, there is a colony. And when you land there, they joke like, "Yeah, back in like the 21st century, we thought that there might be life on this. We got here and found no, but there's a lot of water and ice we can use and it's a good place to live." And then on Mars, we have a mining colony.
Mm.
Uh, that's like the longest off-Earth colony that's still running. Um, and one of the cool things about Mars is Mars in this time frame is kind of the system's capital because Earth is gone. Um, and it's part of the UC. And one of the other cool things about Mars in this timeline is because it's such a big mining place, the miners actually have undergone physical changes on Mars. Where if one of the ways you can tell somebody was a miner on Mars is their eyes, their like the color of their eyes will change to like adopt like a reddish hue from
Mm.
the Martian dust, essentially, kind of getting into them.
Well, that's kind of like in Dune, where their eyes turn blue from the spice in the atmosphere. So it's a very similar dynamic with that. If anybody knows the Dune series, that should be probably shows all on its own. But yeah, it's always a common theme. Like Earth was used up, and then they move out into space, kind of like in Firefly or something like that. Earth too. There seems to be this theme where, oh, we're going to use up the Earth and move into space. Like that's an acceptable thing. We don't need to like rape the Earth on the way out. We can colonize without doing that. That's like it's almost like somebody's trying to make that a certainty, like, oh, this is what happens. Also the whole solar flare or soul flash timeline, that's crap. But also Doctor Who did that too, where the Earth went through a solar flash type period and people were able to recolonize it after a couple of centuries. And then eventually 5 billion years later it gets roasted by the sun and it's gone, sort of thing. So there seems to be this common theme going around in sci-fi periodically. Well, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the Earth gets blown up, so it's like, like there seems to be this theme, like the Earth gets destroyed. And I've always hated that. They did that also Saints Row the fourth, where you had the Earth get destroyed by unruly reptilians. So it's like, okay, there's a theme going across the board here. Somebody obviously wants it to happen or thinks it's going to happen, so it's almost like a warning. And it's more of like it's something from a past life where people had past life on Asgard slash Maldek. It was during the Ragnarok, and people are flipping it around and they're putting it in modern day. What they people think what's in front of you is really behind you. So that's the only way I can see where they're coming up with this, where they had to leave and recolonize a dying world. It also goes along with the whole Nibiru thing. Oh, we're Anunnaki, we're stealing gold and monatomic gold to rebuild our atmosphere and refuel ourselves with the monatomic gold from human soul shards, all that soul trade. So it goes along with the Sitchin thing as well. And I've never bought into that completely. I always thought it was ancient past and not ahead of us. So yeah, it's So interesting that that's a common theme, but it's either somebody's trying to get it to happen or they're trying to regurgitate something from the past. Is what it is. Mars
Yep.
too. Mars too. I forgot this. Mars too. There was a disaster there with a big tear on the side of their atmosphere got ripped away by one of the spheres coming and ripping that big radioactive like trench on the side of Mars. That's weapons fire from the old wars. So it's a Mars thing too. Somebody looked back in the past, remote viewed, and actually came in contact with somebody in that time frame that said that there was a war going on. It was during the Orion Wars, is where they were touching base on. But yeah, that's really all I got on that. But this is what that reminds me of.
Yes, that's a bit of the technology, the biggest piece of the technology that matters. So now we're going to talk about one of the most interesting aspects of Starfield. And this is the Starborn. The Starborn are the only intelligent life that we have interacted with as humanity outside of ourselves. And in a sense, they're not different than ourselves because they are human. And it's not just like another planet had convergent races that we would consider human, or say humans were colonized in other parts of the universe before. No, these are humans. They're just not humans from our reality. So essentially, they are people that have crossed a universal boundary and become one with all that is. And they travel to different universes collecting the artifacts that Constellation is after, because what Constellation makes is something called an amylary. And the amylary lets you travel to the Unity, which is that sphere in the middle of this room. This room is basically the very last scene of the game where you get to see the future of your timeline after you leave it. Because at the end of the game, you yourself become a Starborn and then are able to redo the entire story in an alternate universe from the one that you started in. And you're able to do this multiple times to explore every possibility of this universe, from different choices that you could have made to things that the game is going to throw at you that you don't expect, like a universe where you're the only one there, or a universe where maybe another Starborn version of you is the bad guy, or a universe where you never existed.
Hmm.
All of these things are possibilities, and you'll be able to explore them. And they're different. You basically go into the multiverse as a Starborn, and you basically wake up inside of a new universe that's basically set right at the beginning of the game story, and you get to redo it all. The only thing you lose is all the gear you had, but you get to keep your like levels, and you get a new ship. The game gives you a ship which looks like this. The Starborn all use like these crazy looking ships compared to the more contemporary spaceship design of everybody else, but they still have all the same components.
Hmm.
Starborn almost always wear like these tight form-fitting spacesuits with sometimes robes over it and these like faceless helmets that can reveal their face if they want them to. Um, and they're basically what they're doing is they're collecting these artifacts because these artifacts are also connected to temples on planets. The temples give you powers, and the more temples that use powers you collect, the stronger your powers are, and the more powers you get. Starborn are collecting these powers in hopes that if they become powerful enough, they will become gods.
Hmm.
In some respects, they are gods already, like demigods. But they're trying to see, they're trying to explore multiple universes, but they're also trying to gain the most power that they can while doing so. There's a belief, I guess, that when you become the ultimate Starborn, when you've done it so many times, and there's one of the characters you'll meet in the story is a version of a companion that you had that became a Starborn, And then the other one will be a person that you'll meet during the story that also becomes a Starborn, who they have different viewpoints on how to do it. So the one that was your companion was like, we should really stop the creation of Starborn. Let's control these artifacts and make the thing go to other universes to stop more average people from becoming Starborn, because too many Starborn are going to muck up the multiverse.
Hmm.
The other guy is like, I'm here for myself and I want these powers because I want to see what comes next.
Hmm.
Basically, they believe that they'll ascend to become some kind of creator being,
Okay. Yeah,
or at least find
that's.
the
Hmm.
creator beings. Because the like they still like it is basically told you at the end of the game that there is a creator of some, or creators of some kind, but even the Starborn don't know where they are and how to reach them. And the idea is that if you do enough of these multi-universal things, you'll gain the knowledge to be either become a creator or to find them.
Hmm. That's actually like that's interesting how they have like a creator council or sources outside of the multiverse that would fit the different verses. You always hear me when I'm doing the whole dimensions, expressions, timelines, multiverse, omniverse. It's where it's in the omniverses and super omniverses. It's kind of where that fits. You have universe, multiverse, omniverse, super omniverse. And this falls under the creators would fall under omniverse and super omniverse. I mean, it's all within source creator. Then you have benevolent source creator, neutral, and dark creator, like where the Orions came from. They came from the parallel universe too and ripped across space time. So you can see how the multiverse fits into this. Well, if you get to, of course, a certain level where you've touched the multiverse, like in say Quantumania, where the Kang Dynasty basically says, "Oh, they've touched the multiverse; they're now a threat," sort of thing. Where the character Kang the Conqueror is essentially the same variant, same different variants of the same person across the multiverse, and it just keeps regurgitating him out over and over again. It's kind of like that with Starborns, where you get outside of that and you can just slip into different parts of the multiverse. They did this in the Flash movie too, where he would alter something and then go arc into different universes. And I found where it was like something was vastly different, like genetics of people were vastly different, things would play out vastly different, and it's obvious. It was very obviously the multiverse. I was told the multiverse wasn't that anal, where if you move something slightly, it's going to make this gigantic arc like that. It's not that anal retentive, but it goes like what Spock said in Star Trek, infinite diversity and infinite combinations. So of course you would have, an enemy of yourself, that's of yourself, like in a Multiverse of Madness, where Doctor Strange had the dark version of him attacking him and other versions of him in the multiverse. That does happen. That does happen in reality. I myself have run into that personally with other versions of myself. I'm not going to go into the multiverse conversation. Isaac always hates it when I do this. When I do the infinite diversity, infinite combinations category or subject, because literally you could have nearly an infinite amount of shows if you talk about the multiverse because of different variations and variants and stories and what this version's doing when and how, because what does not happen here happens there. So of course there would be a version of you that did or universe that didn't have a version of you. Of course there would be one that became a Starborn, one that was a bad guy version of that, one that wasn't, one that was an average person, etc., etc., etc. And would that muck up the multiverse after a while if you had too much of the multiverse regurgitating a lot of that out, like with the Kang Dynasty mucking up the timelines in the multiverse in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Yes, of course it would. But at the same time, you can see those different viewpoints. I want to see where this takes me, and then go, no, we have to put a brick on this. So I can actually see where those two viewpoints would come within the multiverse. That's actually, now I'm very curious. I do want to try this out. Also they have them be kind of like faceless ones. You don't have to show your face. I've seen multiple people from the multiverse where they don't really show their face unless you really kind of poke at them to do it. Like they could be in a spacesuit like this. I came
Well,
across a guy
biggest
named Toot.
shock about this is that when you first run into the Starborn, they are appearing faceless. And there's two main ones. There's the Hunter and the Emissary. The Emissary, and this is the biggest spoiler I'm going to give you for the game. The Hunter comes in and kills one of your Constellation team members. It's either going to be the companion you have the highest affinity with, or this guy Barrett, depending on his choice. If you run to this space station in orbit to save the companion you have the highest affinity with, they'll survive. if you stay and defend the Constellation Lodge, Barrett will survive. The one that dies will be an alternate version. Like the emissary will be an alternate version of that one that was able to get there because in their universe you died.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
And they like straight up like it's revealed because the emissary and the hunter then meet and have this meeting and they invite you there because they've never seen you get this far before, and they're kind of like, well, if he's made it this far or that if she's made it this far, we're gonna like see what happens in this universe because we've never had it do this and all the times we've done it before. So the emissary is like just basically they like turn on the opacity to that helmet and it's like the companion you lost and it's just like whoa.
Oh,
And then the
that's actually
hunter's like
interesting.
and the hunter's like, ha ha ha, I know I killed you again, emissary, but I did it before you could become the emissary. The
That's
hunter's like a religious cult leader that then decided to turn away from religion and become a starborn.
okay. Yeah, that's interesting how they have the exact multiversal dynamics in there. Even the Orions have been called the faceless ones for a while because of the fact they come from a different part of the multiverse. There's actually a version of us from the multiverse that went wrong and went dark. So it's but in retrospect, I ran into some guy in a spacesuit one time in a dream sequence. He called himself Cthulhu. He said he came from an alternate timeline or a future timeline, and I didn't see his face at first either. But when he lifted the helmet, he looked like a Mayan guy. I thought he was Mind Federation at first, but no, he was from. Then he said he was from the White Knights and all this other stuff, but he was also from an alternate future, and it's kind of like a whole Starborn thing because he was able to kind of teleport through space by himself and do these exact kind of things, you know. So it's very similar to that. I love how they did the multiverse physics because they got it right as far as I'm concerned. The way they have things the way they have things going. That's actually interesting. You get the way you choose is the way the multiversal other self plays out in that scenario. And I've seen that personally, where I've walked a certain path and I can sense what goes on in other universes, kind of like in everything everywhere all at once, where she could determine what path to go by how it was going here or here too, and by looking at stuff. So what happened, as goofy as that movie was, there was a truth to that. In this, you know, I've been able to, and I pissed off other versions of myself in other universes I came to find out because they're mad that I keep delegating stuff to the multiverse so things don't harm me. Or if I'm warping a bad guy out of this dimension, it's appearing somewhere else. It's like that. I'll use a stupid reference, but in Family Guy, where they go to another universe where their poop gets transported out of them, and they end up in a frozen universe, going, "Oh, there's the poop from the other universe." It's the same concept where you're doing something here and warping something out of this reality. It's got to transmute and go somewhere. You know, it just doesn't disappear. It just changes shape or it ends up somewhere. In some of the secret programs, somebody would disappear through a portal or something. They're not gone. They just entered another universe. This happens in the Bermuda Triangle as well, either the past or a parallel universe or a future timeline. Philadelphia experiment was the same thing. So where they ended
Sorry, I'm
up
having a
past future.
problem.
Uh, uh,
Sorry, I was having an issue with my
oh
computer.
yeah, you're fine. But I've been getting complaints from other areas because and some people are trained to do this, and I'll bring up an issue that involves this that is very recent in the channeling circles that people think this is just a cool idea, and this is totally unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. It's not completely unnecessary, but how they're doing it is like, oh, delegate your problems to another timeline and you're free and clear of it. Like you detach and it goes to a different timeline. And do I do this when I rewrite somebody's past life? Yeah, I see it as kind of a more of a parlor trick in that way where you can realign someone's timeline. But at the same time, if you're manifesting in a certain way and you've detached from the things you want to detach from, that automatically happens in the multiverse. There's no reason to always force it unless it's more of an emergency situation. So this is a bit of a fallacy that's on the internet right now in that area. But if you do this, and I've had to do this in certain situations I personally have run across, you will get affected by your multiversal self saying, "Hey, stupid, you're affecting us. What went right for you is going wrong for us." and what's going wrong for us is going right for you, or what's going right for us is going wrong for you. So you can send a ripple effect across the multiverse and omniverse and super omniverse as well. If you're basically, it's a ripple in a pond. Like you throw a rock in a pond and it ripples outward. You don't know what kind of effect that'll have, or a butterfly effect, like in the Flash, where he changes one thing and it's a butterfly effect, like the whole bullet spaghetti effect, like it was said by Michael Keaton in that movie. So it's kind of like that. So what you do, the footsteps you take or the actions you take have a drastic effect or even a small one. It can be localized too. So I've gotten complaints that way too, like, hey, you've looked into this too much. Now it's having a ripple effect across the multiverse. So you can't always look into other universes too much. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe made it seem like it was very, very dramatic, like an incursion of some kind, or like Star Trek did, matter universe, antimatter universe colliding, and the Lazarus effect was the name of the old episode. Like that, where Kirk went through a corridor, had to condition himself to be in the other universe temporarily. It was kind of along those lines, and they seem to think that that's the elements of the multiverse seem to think that that's a real effect. An incursion is a real thing, or if one person's tampering, it affects. Even if you're doing it localized, it can affect a multitude of different outcomes. So I know that was a lot, but it's interesting that the game has incorporated at least a part of that. I feel that's very interesting. Now I'm going to have to play this because I'm curious, but. Yeah, folks, this is the first time I've seen really anything about it. I heard the name, but I never really knew anything about it. And I find it's very interesting that it's very apropos that this has come up now when the multiverse, including shows across the board from Star Trek, Star Wars, I think is about to do it. There's other shows that are about to do stuff on the multiverse, and it seems to be a common theme across the board that's being talked about like it's a really big thing. And I've always said to people in other recordings that if you're seeing a theme across multiple mediums, it's usually a true thing that somebody is trying to really disclose to you, or they feel it's an important fact that you need to know about. Or in there, it could be their opinion too, but it could be something they think is going to happen, like if they're saying a disaster, or like when they feel like and they're showing you in a game or on shows of how to survive in the environment because they believe there's going to be some kind of apocalyptic thing like Mad Max or something. They will try to show that to you. It could be their opinion, but they're still trying to disclose something to you. Or it could be something shoving propaganda down your throat, like the Cabal or some corporation trying to make something happen. Either way, that's how they disclose something across the board. If it's again with multiple mediums, the multiverse has been kind of the thing of choice recently in that way, and Starfield's no different now.
Yep, so that's kind of Starfield in a nutshell. At least the main story, but I haven't explored all these universes yet, these possible dimensions. I've only just reached my first one that's not my own. And I decided to do some stuff differently. I actually basically just blatantly told the allies that I was from another universe, and to see what would happen.
What did happen?
It skips a lot of the more boring quests in the main story and just it lets you do like the end, like some later game stuff earlier to collect the artifacts because you already know what to look for. So you tell them what to look for, and then they do it, and it kind of like skips you through like the first act of the main story.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. You know what's also interesting? This is playing out like talk about seeing something prophetic or ripples in a pond. Many years ago, I was actually this is actually relevant. I never knew what the hell this was until now that we're talking about this. I was coming up with ideas, that I was in more of a game world where I was more like in Stargate set of universes or it looked like it. Obviously, it was like the Stargate, has a similar feel to this as well. From SG1 to Universe to Atlantis to the movie, movies like Continuum, Arc of Truth, all those things. But with this, I was actually seeing a whole thing play out where not only could I take a side or a faction, like from replicator to human to alien to any of these, but I was actually seeing myself being able to play in multiple universes. I could do what I want, go where I want, and Starfield seems to be the closest equivalent to what I was actually seeing back then. That's when I was actually a late teenager. I was seeing those things, and it was just like I felt it was almost like imagination, but in dreams it was coming through too. So now I recognize that as dreams, like in Multiverse of Madness, can be the window to the multiverse. And I was seeing I was even seeing whole armies, dressed like some of them were in black, red, white, Different universes had different militias, armies, stuff like that. I was actually seeing these windows to the multiverse. And I've recorded multiple little recordings on the multiverse of madness. That would probably be again its own episode about multiversal physics. But I was wondering what this was that I was looking at, and it was more like my third eye or the imagination center was connecting to a lot of these things. And Starfield again seems to be the very closest version of what I was actually seeing, and that was a long time ago. So that I was seeing these things. So obviously it was in the ether somewhere. There's a butterfly effect out there, like when you create something, or if you're coming up with an idea, it can appear somewhere else on the planet, and someone else uses that idea. And this is also a multiversal effect too, where there's every possible solution in the multiverse. You hear the character Wanda saying in Multiverse of Madness, where there's a solution to every conceivable problem, pretty much. So with that, it also goes for ideas. There's a person that could use every conceivable idea in existence. So if you have like the source field that connects all these things, like if you're not honoring or doing something with an idea, or if you've created or using it, it can also pop up somewhere else. There's a prime example of this when Joanna and I walked into a post office one time and we saw a children's book that was for sale in one of them. She saw a storyline in it that she wrote. It wasn't a theft thing because it had not been physically put out there at all. It was still in script form and drawing form, stuff like that, but it was identical to what she came up with. That's the whole source field or butterfly effect. It appears somewhere else. This is a multiversal thing as well, and an omniversal, super omniversal thing where it mirrors all over the place. So some people have accused somebody else of stealing something, when in fact they could have been tapping into the same source energy or the same benevolent Keshic record. But sometimes it is theft, but other times it's that. So it has come up quite prevalently. There's been some lawsuits of patents that have been identically created in that way, and that you can blame the multiverse for some of that, and some of that binding energy in between. So I find that very, very fascinating. So I'll see now who wants to come through. It's probably Isaac, because we've been ragging on him all morning. So yeah, everybody's pointing to him. So let's see. Yes, Isaac, this would be the perfect topic for you. Oh, you want me to mention one more thing? Okay. We were talking about the pirates earlier, and he came to me in a dream one time, and I was wondering what was affecting us one time. This is when I first found out about some of the space pirates. And he came to me in a dream, and I saw him transmitting from like a ship or something like that. And he was pointing out, he said the pirates in the sky are the ones taking the soul energy, and that's what sparked the soul trade the conversation at the time, or the ones that drop the nets and steal the light body energy and stuff like that, or the monatomic gold. He was trying to warn me at the time about that. It also sparked a past life I had as a pirate that was contesting with Galactic Federation, and they tried to arrest me multiple times for basically interfering with their non-interference directive of other planets, like Prime Directive type stuff. And it was I remember in that reality, I had the ability to move whole planets with a small spaceship. That's how high the technology was. This was pre-Orion War time frame. Like 125 million years ago or something like that. And this shows how downgraded again the technology has gotten. But what happened was, this one planet they were allowing to die. Like in Star Trek, there was one where it was a culture, they were just going to allow them to die instead of interfering with them. Worf's brother saves them by putting them in the holodeck and making them think they were moving somewhere else. But one of them escapes, which shows the value of a prime directive. Let's see, where the person went insane and killed himself because he couldn't process or handle what was going on with aliens and with everything. So both sides were actually a fact where you can save, but there's a risk involved in that. In this, it was the same thing, where I saw myself moving a planet and saying, well, we can save the civilization, we can put it near another sun that's similar. And what ended up happening was two things happened. One, they were saved, but they were a docile civilization now that they were under a slightly heavier gravity well than before. And they became slightly more hostile under this new sunlight, kind of like Superman got his powers by being under the yellow sun versus Kryptonian red sun. It was kind of like along those lines. And so there was that's what the soul was supposed to experience, to show that both viewpoints were true. The Galactic Federation was wrong in their own way, but interfering was also wrong in its own other way. So that's I was being informed of that particular past life of mine, saying that I had lived through that to show this dichotomy, or to show the dynamics surrounding that. And at first, I thought it was SSP related, but it was something from a much further, long time ago than any of my other past lives. It was the oldest one in the whole grouping. Uh, okay. Isaac, I know you probably heard enough of me yammering on about multiversal physics again. So, hmm, even though you're one of them that pointed it out and you get irritated when I go on and on about it, but okay. Yes, because it has the capacity to go on forever. Yes, infinite. Yes, I understand. But all right, let's see. Yes, you can come through this morning. Uh, well, you're a smartass this morning. He's like, oh, how gracious of you. He's in his spot this morning. So let's see. Gotta make sure true benevolent Isaac only. You probably are just being kind of crotchety this morning. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. He goes, just like how we can get crotchety, he can get crotchety. Yes, I understand. Okay. Through the crystal. That's harsh. Yes, this game is indeed fascinating because I've seen these very real dynamics the exact same way is in the game. Yet there are aspects that are 100% true, like the switching out of the factions, for instance. You have one that's more free, like how you have your dynamics on Earth. It's freer than you think. Then you have the GF narrative that is playing out, where it's akin to your New World Order or Marxist mentality or Marxist state that is playing out right now. This is hence why you see some of the melting of the borders, like your southern border, and you have Canada that will try to create a state of emergency with your COVID narrative and try to meld into what he calls the North American coalition. They would call it something else, mind you. But it's kind of like that kind of NCR mentality and other things, such as like what I said in the Fallout universes, where you had the different factions that were vying, like your Fallout 2, 3, and 4, for instance. Where I was speaking about that. That's a very real thing that's going on with the different factions of the different logos and the different aliens also backing them, kind of like your temporal Cold War in your Star Trek verse or your Star Trek lore. In this, Starfield is also accurate as far as the grav drive. It's a frequencies game where you have a frequency. See, it says frequency here, frequency here. You can use a gravity frequency to move you to a different part of the galaxy. Would that rip holes in the Earth given the right frequency value? Yes, it would. This is why it would be a dangerous thing, kind of like a warp drive in Star Trek, to use it in atmosphere. Very, very dangerous. Some species will just open portals. And this has its own danger, especially if you can see a Starfield on the other side uh, of it, where they've been known to open a Starfield on Earth portal and go out into space. Now, is there a buffer in between, frequency buffer in between? Yes, on extremely advanced ships. But if it's something more rudimentarily speaking, no insult intended to some of those species, could you rip a hole in the atmosphere or cause something to rip loose and people and things get blown out in space? Yes, HARP was actually working with this. There's a famous case from back in year 2009 that there was like this portal that opened up in the sky. Very famous case over Norway. This is around the time your President Obama was working on something, some supposed disclosure thing in Norway that was actually more of a distracted narrative towards a false disclosure. And they thought that he was trying to be assassinated for talking about these things, or they were threatening him in some way, saying they could eject him into space, that kind of thing. This was the very same type of thing where you would see a spinning portal with a bit of a star field through it. HARP is a more dangerous version that could literally tear the atmosphere asunder, pretty much, very much like in your Starfield. But the dynamic that you see, where you see that the spacesuits the way they are, the jumpsuits the way they are, the corporations the way they are, which, as he said, when you see something across multiple mediums, including Blade Runner, including the cloning of people to try to make them more amicable to space, you have replicants, you have all of it. and also the tests that the replicants go through. That's why clones on Earth have such a tough time doing simple things. It's not just mind control that's going on. Real good example of a clone is that video where you see that person that's trying to put luggage in an overhead bin and can't quite fit it. Then they didn't know to turn it. That's more of a replicant. You have your inborns, like what he talks about, where they're made in the lab. This is similar, but you have clones that aren't all there sometimes. Sometimes they're minors. Sometimes they're experiments, like some of your people that have larger muscles but have a lesser mental capacity. That's from your experimentation in the past, where they just wanted slaves and didn't want them to insurrect. This happens. People are mining the asteroids. Some are slaves, some they're not, to the ICC. Some are actually paid for work, some are not. And this is the dynamic that is out in the galaxy. You're actually seeing some of the things going on and the timeline that they wish to project. So I can go into questions if you like.
Um, so I guess do you, considering your view of how things are, would humanity be kind of allowed to colonize space like it has in this scenario where it's kind of been allowed to just do as it go out there? Like if we had the capacity to leave the system, what would happen?
Yeah, this there is a mix here. They want you to think that you would have the freedom to do this, but you have the GF involved and you have the Martian Germans involved. You see, there are sections of space where this would be allowed, or you'd be able to colonize certain things. But bear in mind, these colonies have already been established, like in your Stargate program, where there's different versions of humans on different planets at different stages of economical, societal, and genetic development. This is actually going on. Certain things have already occurred, very much like that quest you were talking about the people that were wanting to colonize that one world, and they were kind of a Johnny come lately to the party. This is exactly what's going on. They say, oh, we're going to colonize other worlds. We're going to colonize Mars. We're going to do this and do that and colonize Titan. It's already happening. So we would, you guys here on the Earth's surface, it would be more of a Johnny come lately to the party, meaning it's already happened. There are some worlds that you would be able to do this with, very much like in your Firefly verse, as it were. You have Alliance controlled territory after the Earth was used up. Then you have the Outer Rim worlds, where these were colonies that were more harsh and more nature based, and other ones more technologically based, like you have your bigger cities. A very similar dynamic has already taken place because of the ICC and because of the Martian Germans and other factions. So this has actually occurred, and but they're trying to say that, oh, you're just starting to do it. People are going to notice real quick the further out they go that there are already colonies established. There's humans even running businesses out there, very much like your Coruscant on Star Wars. He's used Coruscant a number of times, and that's actually highly accurate the way that is set up. Some things have been set up for quite a long time now. Some are actually descendant lineages of the very human colonists that actually came to the system originally. So they've been separate from Earth, but they look exactly like you. You have, of course, the Cassiopeians. You have some Pleiadian groups. You have all of them that are like you. That are also descendants of colonists as well. But from Earth specifically, it has actually occurred already. So to really narrow your answer your question down, yes, there would be freedoms to actually colonize wherever you want, but you'd have to find some place they haven't been yet.
Okay. What would I'm just asking? I asked more like if humans had the capacity to leave the Sol system from like Earth humans, the average Earth humans, what what's out there trying to stop us from leaving this system?
Hmm. Of course, you have the Martian Germans regulating and the ICC regulating the traffic coming and going. That's aliens and you coming and going. It's just like in your Earth Final Conflict, where they wouldn't allow astronauts to leave the system because the aliens didn't want people to see they had a base on the moon or bases out in the system. Past that, that person was able; those people were able to explore whatever the hell they wanted. But with this, if an average human would go out into space, they would passing the traffic of this system. If they could get past some of the regulations of the Martian Germans, if the Martian Germans saw that somebody was trying to leave the system, they would basically, like they did on Earth, they'd ask for your papers. Where are you from? What's the traffic? The ICC would do the same as a business regulating arm. But that's essentially what would stop the average human from coming and going. Now, other races may try to smuggle somebody out from time to time, and this did happen aside from any abductions. This has actually occurred where some humans were taken out there and actually live out there amongst the people out there and have found other humans. A planet named New Haven is a prime example where they're descendants of abductees and people that couldn't have their mind wiped. That's a prime example. That's in your Pleiades. That's your Kepler 22b, I believe. But an average human leaving, the main sources that would block them would be certain alien groups trying to turn them around, but mainly the Martian Germans and the ICC.
Okay. And say, what happens if you don't comply with those people?
Unfortunately, in some cases, there have been missing people as a result of that. I mean, they have had people that have gone out there. It's like, oh, finally made it out here, and they pull the "I do not consent" routine, and you can imagine what happens after that. I'm not saying you should consent to that. That's evil. I'm just saying that is what has happened.
Okay. And apart from the human actors holding down the system, what races are like also kind of, because I heard there used to be a group of ships kind of at the edge of the Sol system, just kind of sitting there.
Yes, there used to be a blockade out there that regulated the traffic. That happened a much longer a time ago than he himself thought. He was seeing reflections of the past. There was a barricade, of course, hundreds of thousands of years ago that Odin was in charge of. But in current day, there is a portal out by this by Ceres in the Ceres colony. You have another version of it on Mars, and there is also a supergate outside the system where traffic comes and goes. The funnel that they're trying to get everybody in, kind of like a highway that has exits off of it, is at the very end of the system by Ceres. That is one of the main entry points. Anybody that tries to come in any other way, there are vehicles that will approach them saying that they have to go in a certain way, kind of like you have your utility vehicles, police, firemen, vehicles, things of that nature. They have very much like in your Interstellar, for instance, when he comes back into that area of space having interstellar travel, and you saw that police vehicle coming to retrieve him, Matthew McConaughey's character. It's essentially the same thing where you have cars that are like that are flying like police cars that are out doing these things. They're teardrop shaped, but they guard the boundaries. And what is out there making a boundary? Absolutely nothing. It is just a patrol. Like you would say if you had a roadway, you have nothing blocking you if you want to go like rolling the car on the grass or on the sidewalk. It's just you can't do it. Think of that area as the sidewalk, or think of it as an invisible wall, or think of it as you're driving on the grass or on someone's lawn. That's essentially how it's regarded.
Okay. Um. Hmm. When it comes to the multiversal boundaries thing, are there artifacts that would allow that to be accessed more easily than sort of just bursting through the edge of, I guess, creation?
Yes, actually, this is how the Orions cross through. He's seen this in a multitude of different movies. It's more of a spheroid shape that had the ability to turn its key or turn its combination, kind of like your dial home device was for Stargate. And the Stargate had a similar thing for multiversal coordinates, like in your show Sliders, where they input a set of coordinates or the set of coordinates would save to their device. It's like a latitude and longitude for the multiverse, like the multiversal engine that Kang the Conqueror had in your Quantum Mania, like a spheroid, like multiversal drive or multiverse drive. It's very similar, where it would go ahead, find the frequency via latitude and longitude, open the doorway, and go. It's very much like in your Ahsoka series, whereas they are attempting to hyperdrive to another galaxy, but they needed the coordinates. It's essentially the same thing where they had the spheroid map trying to locate the exact coordinates so that they could lock on frequency wise through the hyperdrive and end up in the other galaxy. You see, it's the same type of thing. Whereas you can have a handheld thing that is very similar, where about the size of the sphere. that you can even have it on the end of a remote or device or something that could be adapted to human tech as well. So you could have a remote control or what have you, and you could hit a button like in the show Sliders where they could have a wormhole. But can you just walk through a crack and you're in another universe? Yes, and these devices do indeed work. Some of them are considered to be holy artifacts. He's even seeing an image in his head, and I'm putting this here, where he was watching the show Ninja Turtles years ago, where there was a sword that could open a dimensional rift. And this actually happens. This actually had happened in your Japanese and Intominan history. There was a sword that could do that, that could literally go into the astral plane in other universes. The astral plane is another flesh realm, though, but there's some dark things happening there. Some people consider to be the toilet of the multiverse and worlds within worlds. But you can go to worlds within worlds through portal access points with a key that matches an image on the portal that you happen to have. Your Garden of Eden was the same way, hence like the whole Michael imagery with the flaming sword, Dale. That was the opening to the Garden of Eden access point that was an access point to Asgard at the time. So yes, there are ways of getting into other universes via a remote, via a portal, very much like your America character was in your Multiverse of Madness that had the innate ability genetically to do it. Some have the innate genetic ability to actually walk from one universe to the next, too, like that character. So that was highly accurate as well. They just shift their genetics and shift their energetic frequency to match a particular set of coordinates, even if they don't realize that's what they're doing.
Okay, that's all I had for today.
All right. Yes, these conversations are always interesting. To round off this conversation, the reason he said I was crotchety was not necessarily over you two in that particular way. It's some activity that's been happening in the neighborhood that he's been blissfully unaware of, hence some of the dead animals in his yard. So this is something, of course, that's being dealt with as we're talking, but this is what I was more crotchety about in that way. Yes, he's right. I do have my trigger moments and joking trigger moments, but this was not necessarily of that. So thank you all for listening. This has been a fascinating topic. Hmm. Making my eye water there. But yeah, he was correct. I've seen this in a multitude of platforms across several show types. Where also in your Man in the High Castle as well, people saw that where people could attune their frequency to another universe and end up there. But if you had a duplicate in another universe, you couldn't go there. And the Nazis in that program, because it was the Japanese and the Nazis had taken over the universe. They had won the Second World War in that universe. The Nazis tried to open their own portal and shove their own armies through, but they couldn't do it because those people would die because they had duplicates already in other universes. So it follows the same rules. The Orions violated that because they found a way to rip through and damage and cause incursions and cause temporal fractures and time fractures. Hence, you have things like the Bermuda Triangle and the Atlantean time frame from the attacks that happened there, and you have Devil's Triangle and you have time fractures, all those type of things. There are rips in space time and through the multiverse. There was also people in between that were guarding the openings and like not necessarily void space per se. I used to call it void space, but I call it the space in between. At the end of the show, I'll give a spoiler for that, where we always say, filling the missing spaces with your benevolent source creator light for your highest good alone, or for the highest good of all. That's what happened at the end of that show. Whereas that Earth was actually the cause of multiversal incursion. So then you see some of the people from the multiverse, some of these travelers from the multiverse, fill that missing space and then conquer those Nazis that were in that universe. The multiverse kind of helped out balance itself. It's kind of like an organism. Hence also traveling to other universes, like what I was saying with communicating with other versions of myself, there's a stabilization and destabilization. So you have to keep like a balance in that way, just like in Everything Everywhere All at Once. When she started messing around in the multiverse, balancing it was basically about an oversoul auditing itself, whereas either discontinue, uncreate, or recreate. But with her character, she was still the version of herself that nothing went right. So therefore, she was the one to conduct the audit, kind of like at the ass end of the multiverse in its own way, not having the capabilities of a lot of the others. And then things still were going wrong because that's what the with her own life, because that's what the multiverse was. If it didn't happen here, it happened there. She made happiness around, therefore it's still balanced. So that's really that's what I got out of that movie. But it's essentially that I mean the multiverse is its own topic, its own show, its own theme. Eventually we'll do it, but I'm kind of chomping at the bit to do that. Isaac is like, oh, there's more you don't know about it, so you might well wait. But that's what I've been able to get in downloads for that. So this has been very interesting. I don't know if you have anything else to add, Ryan, to this
I mean,
topic.
we can try gameplay if you want.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great
It
to
might
try it
not
out.
turn out though, so if you want to hit, yeah.
Yeah, I'll if it doesn't turn out here, folks, I will just edit at this point, and you won't see the gameplay, obviously,
Yeah, it's
but
just
he'll try to show it. Yeah,
yeah, it's just such a new game that it might not run well.
yeah, I can see the screen. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm just trying to mess with the zoom thing for a minute. Show video panel. Oh. Yeah, move that up to the corner. There we go. We'll go back to before I became like a Starborn,
okay.
just because, and then I'll show off that after, if this even works.
And that one you showed, it said Kepler R. It's Kepler 22b was what they were referring to about New Haven. So I thought that's interesting that you chose that too. Yeah.
Because I can get to Kepler B relatively easily from there.
That's interesting because the fact that that's part of the actual game dynamic is interesting, and that was announced as an inhabitable Earth-like planet by NASA and them. So, yeah, I find that interesting that you chose that part.
It's just the save that I knew was from before the thing, before I was into like the final quest.
And with that, next adventure starts.
A little choppy, but it'll do.
Kepler.
Hmm.
That's what I'm wondering. I gotta figure out where I am.
Oh, Vincent's all right. Oh.
Oh no, the Kepler R is the name of my ship.
Oh, Kepler R is the name of your ship. Okay, okay.
Yeah, sorry. We need to find the Kepler system and then go there.
So,
I don't know exactly where in the map, if it's even considered one of the ones you can go to.
Vega. Vega is generally where some of the Lyrans were supposed to be from. Yeah. Hmm.
Alpha Mare. Yeah. There's a major, minor.
Hmm.
Copernicus. Yeah, like there's so many star systems.
Dang. All right.
And all of them have their planets and stuff, so.
There's one named Kang as well. Okay, Archimedes, Hawking. Okay. One named Vern.
They're
Mhm.
painted.
Dang. Enlil. That one's called Enlil. Okay. They put Enlil and Kang near each other. That's prophetic enough because Kang and Enlil were very similar to one another, very Kabbalistic type of viewpoint. Hmm. In fact, they had them near each other as prophetic because Kang is a multiversal character, and also Enlil was the one that started the control mechanisms of the world religions. You had Kang the Conqueror, basically, when Michelle Pfeiffer basically said in the movie, what about the trillions of people you kill with temporal manipulation? And he goes, wish that mattered, sort of thing. It showed the difference between thinking the little guy like Scott, the character Scott Lang, and him, like the basic humanity and the distance of basic humanity. So it's interesting they put those two near each other in the Starfield there. I found that kind of interesting synchronistically. Oh, that's very cool. I find that interesting that that's the entire star map like that.
So where do you want to go?
Pick something you think's interesting. Just pick something. Or you can show Earth, the solar system. You can show what that looks like. Yeah. Huh. Oh, I see. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. It's kind of like the whole Nibiru thing too, where Nibiru was supposed to be the like dead mutation version of like Asgard and Earth, and it's like a no atmosphere type of thing.
This is Earth.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I could recolonize Earth if I wanted to.
Oh, okay. Have you ever tried going outside without your spacesuit and on a vacuum planet like
Yes,
that?
you start losing oxygen. This is an area near New York City, by the way. I landed this right by where New York City should be.
Oh, wow. Telling you something's off in the distance. Okay. Yeah, this is like how what happened with Mars in reality, where the atmosphere got ripped away during the wars like that. So it's very similar.
We can go to Mars if you want.
Okay.
Sidonia's about as UC as you get. And that ain't a compliment.
Yeah, Cydonia. Yeah, that's where a lot of the Nazi shipyards and the Sidonian Plateau is the site of an ancient disaster during the war times, where it was like considered to be almost like a watershed or temporal type event. Where I remember seeing in that scenario bombs being shot up at the invading Orion forces, raining back down and roasting like all the people, and then Sphere came over and tore the atmosphere off. Essentially, that's what happened in the Sidonian area in that region. So, and that when remote viewers would look at it, they would say, "Oh, they look at the coordinates and say." Like government agent went, "Oh, you want to look at the old city?" The person didn't. The remote viewer didn't know what the coordinates were, and then it was this central area. That's interesting. It has a Dune-ish feel to it, and that's what we're going for in that movie. Well. Yeah, this is how some of the bases actually look there, is like this, like in Doom or in Alien, same difference. Or Ad Astra, if you want to go that far, but where they showed there was no aliens and humans were the only things in that movie. I didn't really care for that, but yeah.
The miners, be careful down near the mines and enter any active sites at your own risk.
How's the saying go? Show no mercy, leave no quarter?
Yeah, this is true how this is to an extent.
Finally catch that crazy bastard. Bye. Hope I never
Some kept saying the Venusian colonies were the same like this, but Valiant Thor said no, this was more some than Mars.
It's my personal savior. Thanks again for the assist.
So we struck oil. Turns out it was just
Let me know if you need something. I am glad you asked. List provides members with a few tangible benefits and a few intangible ones. First off, we locate an ideal location matching the needs and desires of our members. After that, we provide transportation, as well as a starter set including basic hab modules, extractors, and seeds for farming, etc. Everything needed to get off to a good start. And we set up a small encrypted satellite to aid communication between distant neighbors, and the rare List ship that swings by the sector to offer aid and trade supplies if desired. But, more importantly, List provides its members the satisfaction of living on their own, and on their own terms. Independent and free from harassment and governmental interference. Excellent! Thank you for any assistance you can lend us. Whoops! Nearly... Oh, so good to see you again. You weren't waiting long, were you? Oh my! Yes, of course. Though, but your commission will more than make... My pleasure. Oh, sure, certainly. Bring me suitable planetary data scans for planets and moons that have O2 atmospheres and signs of life, and I'll pay you appropriately. The more habitable, the more I'll... And you'll earn an immediate commission for anyone you sign up to the list. Keep your ears open for people who sound like they need a change of pace or a fresh start. Bars are usually good places to overhear people complaining about things. That's why I hang out in them. So no for share. Goodbye.
He was creepy.
Can't believe Deimos is a psychologist on staff. What's up with that? You need a vacation.
It's hard not to worry when your spouse is the one doing all the hard work.
Hey, what's up?
This life ain't easy. I still can't believe we finally got all those new mining tools.
Mars isn't for
I was
everybody.
getting tired of my old ones breaking down all the time.
There's something you need? What about it? Is that so? Convince me. Trust you? I don't... List does sound pretty great after reading that. I'll do it. I've been looking for a change anyway. Let's see where this... Feels weird. No turning back now.
It's also like in Total Recall where they are on Mars and re-atmospherized it with alien tech at the end too. But also military bases, ICC locations, and Secret Space Program locations have meeting points, hubs, and cafeterias like that too. Doesn't matter which of the countries, from China to America to Germany to Russia, they all have that. So.
Hey, friendo. Hey, you buy from me, maybe I can give you the same discount I give to locals. Take a look. Do I have any good deals, you say? Friendo, I am full of good deals. My prices may be fixed by UC pencil pushers many worlds away, but I may find ways to work with you. For example, I buy things to refurbish and resell. You bring me these, I give you credits. The UC, my employer, they try to furnish my exchange with plenty, but other planets, they need more, so we need to make do with what we get. But me, I have other ways of getting goods to sell, and so I do. I get a little bit of this and that from here and there, and that is how I provide for you and me. You understand? Hey, catch you on the flip side!
Now you're stuck in the geometry. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey there.
Do you have a child or children between the ages of 5 to 18? Enroll them in a United Colonies distance learning program today.
How am I going to get this all done? God damn it! Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. That wasn't directed at you at all. I'm just really stressed out at the moment. You're fine. I'm aware of what you did for Trevor. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything to Peter. I feel like I can trust you. I'm Gilly. I'm a psychologist working for Deimos, and I've been utterly swamped with work lately, trying to make a deadline. I could use a hand tracking down some of our employees and delivering psychological questionnaires to them.
If you trust the UC to do a psych evaluation, then you're really in trouble.
It's a lot of personal stuff. I'm not going to get into it with someone I just met. All you need to know is that I could really use a hand. It's not as sinister as you think. Basically, Deimos invests heavily in its employees and operations. In order to protect those investments, I was hired to perform periodic psychological The company wants to identify potential erratic behavior patterns that might jeopardize the company's investments and work with their employees to correct them. You can? Oh, wow, thanks. I don't even know who I've got left in the stack, but take a look. When they've all filled out the forms, just bring them back to me and I'll go through them. Just tell... Oh, and don't read what they write down. It's supposed to be...
I'm 100% reading what these people write down.
Huh?
I am 100% going to read what these people write down.
I would too.
They make one hell of a ship.
And that's just like how some of the corporations do in reality. They'll do some of these tests and checks, and they're really screwing you over.
Shut down countless times. A psychological evaluation. Are you kidding me? Gilly, I'm the one who ordered this program in the first place. Do I really need to go through with this?
I'm well aware, but you are an employee and it is company policy that everyone gets one.
Okay, fine. Let me have it. Okay, this isn't so bad. Easy. Yep. Mm-hmm. You really want to know that? Huh? Okay. And... done. There you go. Remind me to make myself and the other execs exempt from these in the future. We wouldn't be where we are if we were a liability.
Subterranean particle detonation imminent. Be advised to secure loose articles and find stable ground or remain seated in the event of unforeseen tremors. Detonation occurs in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is only my first contract, but I've already hauled more ore than any of the old-timers could ever produce. That's why they're jealous of me. What the? Seriously, that's a thing we gotta do for the company psychologist? Fine, let me see it. What is this BS? Yeah? Yeah? Oh, like I'm gonna say that. Nice try. That'll give her something to think about. Alright, whatever. There you go. Hope I get an A or whatever's good for one of these things. Huh.
Live where you work.
Hey there. You a new hire?
Oh, he's got that red eyes thing I was talking about.
Yeah.
Premium apartments available to rent. Whether
Oh?
you need single, double,
Interesting.
or family occupancy.
Usually she comes down here herself if she needs something. I'm glad she's finally got an assistant. Anyway, I'm Andres. Nice to meet you. Something else I can help you with? Let's just say that I've made enough here to retire early if I wanted to, and do something else with my life. Still not sure that's what I want yet, though. Other operations? I'd probably have to put in another 10, 15 years to get to where I am today. Deimos seems to prioritize its employees, which is a nice change of pace from the industry. Just for mining, not work entirely. I think about it every time my contract comes up. See, I'm quite a few systems away from my family. I get to see them whenever I get the chance, but it's hard watching my kid grow up without me. And it's not easy on his mom either. I'm conflicted because the job pays so well, and I want to earn enough so that my kid never has to do what I did to make ends meet. That's what I keep telling myself. I'm doing this for a very good reason. And my wife, she gets it too. Still, that doesn't make it any easier. No matter what, it's a tough decision. About 15 years now. It's good work, good money. Only problem is that it keeps me away from my family. Who knows? Maybe this is the year I let my contract renewal lapse and I finally retire. Oh, is it that time already? Sure. It'll only take a moment. Let's see. Yep. Oh. That question again? Well, all right. Okay, that should do it. Here you go. Tell her I said hi, will you?
Whoa, hold on there. Are you supposed to be down here? You could get hurt without proper safety training. Oh, Argos. Didn't know anyone actually survived their operations. Nah, I'm just messing with you. I know Argos. They're good people. Their safety record's actually pretty good. They stand to beef up their security, I hear. But that's neither here nor there. I'm Salmon. Not Sammy, not Sam, Salmon. I don't do nicknames. I've been with Deimos for what seems like forever. So what I'm saying is, if you have questions, no one here knows these mines better than I do. Not much. Been mining this rock for longer than anyone. Going on 30 years now. And before you ask, I don't talk about my life before that. Yeah, I get it. I'm old. To answer your question, though, no. This is the life for me, and I'm gonna do it until I'm dead or can't do it anymore. Whichever comes first. Look, normally I wouldn't tell anyone, but I heard from Trevor how you helped us all out. The short answer is that I was a troubled kid. I stole. I accidentally got someone killed. I went to jail for a while, then came out all reformed. Most of the other miners have no idea, and I'd like to keep it that way. And it's fun to hear what kind of crazy theories they come up with. Like, did you know I was a spy sent by House Varun to steal secrets from Deimos? Ridiculous stuff like that. Sure, hand it here. Let's see. No. 10. No. No. Good. No. And there it is. Is that it? Great. See you around.
We've been mining here for centuries.
I have to go through it slowly to figure out which ones are actual psych evaluations. Unless it actually just doesn't let me read it. That'd be wild. Charity. There they are.
Well, there's the psych evals, yeah.
Because it re-tagged them as completed. Have you had any recent changes in your medical history? Colonoscopy. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current job satisfaction? 9. Which person is this? Andres. Have you had any time in the last 3 months experienced periods of abnormal anxiety, anger, sleeplessness, or feelings of sleeplessness only due to noisy bunkmate? Harming yourself or others? No, nothing outside of reprimanding said noisy bunkmates. How would you describe your current work-life balance? Pretty good. We get those extra vacation days because that allows me to spend more time with my wife and kids back home. Oh, so this is the second guy.
Yeah.
Hank, yeah. Not really. Hank's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder, but the kid seems harmless enough. He'll learn. Hank was about to betray the company, and I told him not to.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's Hank's. Have you had any recent changes in your medical history? No. Scale 1 to 10. 3, like the job. People kind of suck. I'm trying real hard, but they never seem to respect me. Have you had any anger? I don't know. Guess I'm angry sometimes. See above. Have you had any thoughts of harming yourself or others? If I did, I wouldn't say them here. I'm not an idiot. How would you describe your current work-life balance? Can't complain. I work, I eat, I get my private time. It's all good.
No, that's
Do you have
fine.
any unusual concerns about your coworkers? I don't think they like me. I don't know why. Screw them. This is the first lady. She changes in your memory. Just that thinking, that thing I talked to you about. Still wonderful employer, and I consider myself lucky to work here. None. No. Good, come in. Good, I come in, do my work, go to social engagements with my coworkers, then go home and spend time with my husband. Work is not too stressful, nor does it get in the way of my home life. Do you have any unusual concerns about your girlfriend? I wish Tia would be a little more enthusiastic about her job, but she does a great job with everything on her plate, so it's a minor concern at best.
Okay.
And 7. Have any reason? No. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current job? 10. Have you had any time in the last 3 months? No. No. Good. No.
That's funny.
That one's definitely. I might have to go back and talk to him. Probably.
Do what?
They're probably gonna make me go back and talk to him.
You've got all those forms filled out and returned? Anyone give you any trouble? Other than Leona?
I heard that.
No. You're just a nice person who agreed to help someone in need during a bad situation. This is a one-time thing. Technically, you're not even supposed to do that. But honestly, we're all overworked up here, and you can't really do any damage, so, hey. Oh, that's nice to know. This is still a fairly new process, but we've done a few of them now, so I'm glad they're taking it in. I'm not usually one to ask others to do my work, but you really helped me out big time, and I appreciate it. Thanks again for helping me out with those evaluations. Really saved me from having a breakdown.
Oh, is that guy following you, your companion? That cowboy?
Yeah.
I heard they reopened that Red Devils HQ.
Martian gravity. Or lack thereof.
Yeah, it was like that in the show The Expanse, where they showed the people on Mars had lesser muscle density and stuff like that. And they brought them to Earth, and that's how they gravity tortured a few of their military, was just having them on Earth draped over something, and it turned them to... That's an accurate show to a lot of this, too. It kind of has the same style to it, and the Secret Space Program styles. If anybody's interested in that, it's similar.
There's the Kepler R.
Oh, okay. Well, that's your spaceship? Or...
Well, yeah, this is my spaceship before I became a Starborn.
Oh, okay.
Once I'm after I become a Starborn, I've been flying the Starborn ship because I don't own a spaceship other than that one in that.
Oh, okay.
Time to leave this place behind.
Yeah, the Starborn vessels must be like multiversal capable, like ships, kind of like Kang's vessel in Quantumania.
Starborn can't leave the universe that they get dropped into unless they get back to the Unity.
Oh, okay. They go through. That's like the sphere, also temporal or multiversal drive in Quantumania, where it's a sphere as well. So that's another commonality. Wormhole, like also in Interstellar, was more like a sphere as well. So it's kind of like that, where that's how they travel to other planets in that. But in the multiverse respect, that makes sense that it's also a sphere. It's kind of like the worldview. Can't remember the name, but Rastreyan worldview. I can't remember the word. Where they would think spheres were the passage to heaven. That's more the soul trade. But that's in this respect, it's the multiversal wormhole. So yeah, that's interesting how they go with the sphere as the passage through. In Interstellar, they basically said what's a 3D circle? It's a sphere, you know. So.
I will never get tired of that.
Approaching ship, you've entered Freestar Collective space. Maintain your current course while we scan for contraband. And that's it. Enjoy that Aquila City air.
How you doing, sweet?
Welcome to Aquila City.
You ask me? I don't do payment plans or lines of credit, and I don't sell to shady individuals. If you can handle that, everybody's welcome here. Just so you know, keep it to self-defense.
What's the statue of?
That is... Where is he? That guy's great-grandfather, the guy that founded the collective.
Oh, okay.
Just making my way.
Heard you got your Ranger's badge. We're all damn proud. Not everyone gets to say they work in the bar.
More missions on the board. Never end.
Excuse Something me. You need from me?
Keep up the good work.
Be safe out there.
Well, hey there. Hiya. Right now, not much of anything. Doc says I need a rest. Meanwhile, I've been trying to make myself useful, reading dispatches and reports and such. That way, when I'm cleared for field duty, I'll know the lay of the land.
Just let me drink in peace.
You won't find a better selection of brews and beverages anywhere in the Freestar Collective. Ah, it's not mine. I just work here. Yeah, I guess technically the city owns it, but it's really the Freestar Rangers' place more than anyone else's. But yeah, I'm happy to work here. The pay's decent, but it's also the safest job I've ever had. There you go.
It's also showing that also out in space there's jobs. People think that the whole thing out in space there's no work and it's all no money like the United Federation of Planets and the Star Trek lore. No, they still got jobs. They still got to pay for what they need to have, resources.
Yeah. They use a credit system, kind of like Star Wars. It shows my credits on the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's essentially the same thing. Star Wars had it right, and that way they can be introduced as part of this too, because it's the same thing. Yeah. So, Star Trek had it for a little while in the beginning, but they got rid of the monetary system after a while in their lore. They tried it out in the old series for a little bit, but it didn't take. People wanted the no money thing versus the having to pay for crap thing.
That's great. Getting a scrape. Best come see me after.
And then they say in the lore that it disappeared sometime in the early days, so the temporal war did that.
I got a feeling this ain't the last I'll see of you.
So that's how they justify changes in the Star Trek lore as temporal war, temporal Cold War thing. But this, yeah, the matchup to Star Wars is pretty much the same. This is interesting.
I'm proud to say this is Aquila City's newest establishment. The Hitching Post aims to be the best damn bar in town. So how can I help you? Yeah, that's right. Been scraping together the money for months now. Got some help from my girl Alejandra too, but not as much as everyone's saying. I swear half the people in the city think I'm freeloading off her, which really burns me up, you know? Anyway, that's probably more than you wanted to hear. I'll show you.
Excuse me. Is your ship in need of a doctor? Or a botanist? I might be able to help. I trained to be a surgeon at the Corps, but I know a lot about rongoa and internal medicine too. My parents are doctors. I grew up learning from them. Really? That's great! I'm looking forward to the adventure. I've never left Aquila City before. I obviously know a lot about medicine, and I'm an experienced botanist too. I'd be happy to help collect samples in the field. Oh. I hear you. I'm not an unreasonable person, you know. I'm glad you understand the position I'm in here. You seem like a trustworthy person. I'll work for what you're on. Oh, thank you. I'll work hard. I need to gather some...
You're welcome to just hang out if you want. Some come here to drink.
Oh, and you can hire people as part of your crew. That's interesting. Oh.
Yeah, you can hire people on, but you're also given stuff that you want to join you.
It's like that for Firefly, where they had the ragtag crew, where they just did little jobs and such, quests, things like that. Oh.
I know your type.
That was a hell of a thing to see.
Let's see if I can steal this ship. You can. Some ships that are just landed, as long as you have lockpicks, you can get into them and steal it.
That's like Grand Theft Auto meets Skyrim, yeah, or Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
That one you can. It's a static ship. It's probably never gonna move.
What are you looking for?
My other crew members.
This still reminds me of Firefly a little bit, the way it's kind of set up a lot. And Star Wars, of course. It's all empty. Yeah.
I'm working hard, Captain.
Credit for your thoughts, as they say.
They were both in here. Wait, you're gonna laugh at
Great
this
day for some exploring. Oh, what's shaking, Bacon? You be safe out there.
Amelia Earhart.
She's a clone. There's a whole city of clones.
Oh, famous people.
Yeah, the leaders of the city are one of them is like a queen from the kingdom of Kush who like held out against the Romans, named like Armandaius or something.
Okay.
Then there's FDR and Genghis Khan. And Amelia is also there, as well as one of the founders of the internet.
That's funny. Like on Voyager, they had the frozen versions or in stasis versions where some aliens have abducted like people from 1937 in Voyager, and they were on a distant planet. Some were descendants of them. Other ones were the originals in stasis. They had that on Futurama too, where they had all the holographic characters, Genghis Khan and all of that. I find it funny they integrated that a little bit into this. In fact, they cloned them.
Yeah, there's a whole city of cloned like people, and they're kind of factionalized out because they're stranded on the planet because they were basically like a genetic program that was going to try to like use them to take over the planet, like the whole sun systems. I mean, like, look, we're the leaders of the past come to lead you today. And,
that's funny.
But the project failed. And then they just like left the clones there. So like there's Genghis Khan who's trying to get off. FDR wants them to stay long enough to like actually mature as a society. So that they can get space travel their own, so that then they can join when he believes that they're like a ready society to be in space.
Okay.
And then the other one wants to go and actually do what the corporation wanted, like take over the.
Oh. That's funny.
But for deciding what to do with them, you get
what was that?
Like deciding the fate of like their little town, you get Amelia Earhart like willing to follow you.
Oh, okay. The fact they had her DNA to clone, you know. Oh.
Yeah. Well, the fact they had like a Roman person's DNA to clone.
Oh, the what?
They had a person from like 0 AD.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know where they got the DNA.
Yeah.
There's no mention of where they got it either. So.
That's interesting. It'd be interesting to put that into the lore, how they did it, you know. Or they got it.
New set of stars. Docking integrity. 100%. Good to go, Cap.
Thank God Cora isn't here. God, who am I kidding? That girl probably love it here. She's crazy that way.
Nothing like the smell of a dead shark after you cook them with an energy blast.
Yeah. Need something?
This is the pirate base.
Never do
I
a
heard
job
his
unprepared.
sister is
You
some
need supplies,
hardcore
you hit
mercenary.
up the depot.
I wouldn't get on her bad side.
You either put up, shut up, or die.
What are you looking at?
The legacy is ours. Leave the rest to me. Be seeing you.
Space combat.
What was that?
Show some space combat.
We're due for our next jump soon. Safe travels, stranger. Look alive!
Master Victor, you and I have things to discuss. Direct into their grab drive.
What, were they going to talk to you because you destroyed that ship? Huh.
Yeah, they got mad at me. The companions got mad at me. Killed people.
Channel's open. What can I do for you? Yeah, right. You're complete. Not today. Look alive.
Their grab drive is crippled. They're not escaping. System back online.
I can't control it!
The fact you can salvage stuff from the wreckage too. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's what some of the space pirates do. They're salvagers. They also, when they destroy things, do the same thing. But
Our grab drive has been restored.
One of the biggest things you get from ships that are destroyed are ship parts that you can use to repair your own ship.
Okay.
Like right now, my shields are at 12%, but my hull is damaged. But I just got ship parts so I can repair it.
Okay.
That one just had money.
You know my great-grandfather made that drive,
Want to hear a joke?
right? Sure, sweet pea. The old man can always use a laugh.
Okay. Who can jump higher than a skyscraper in New Atlantis?
I don't know. Docking procedure
Everybody!
is...
Skyscrapers can't jump!
You looking to start something?
Need to have a Ludra take a look at this kinetic.
The legacy is if you need credits.
Also, they do the credit system. There was an old show called Tech War by William Shatner. They did that too, where all the money was digitized. It's kind of similar as well. I was thinking about that a second
Welcome
ago.
to Free Star Space. We're gonna do a quick scan for contraband, and you can be on your way. All right, you're good. Welcome to Neon.
This is also why you want a mix of both digitized and gold and silver, because you don't want things totally digitized and credit, where they could literally take resources from you here, but you want some digitized as well. So, this is kind of the system they're going for, like this. But it's not always a good thing.
Target has lost their grab drive. They cannot jump away.
It falls under that whole like Marxist way of doing things, like being paid for the resource rather than capitalist. But you need both of them together. I like the format of this, though. It's actually pretty interesting.
I have to talk to you sooner rather than later. Nice jump. We're right on target.
Board is clear. We're docked.
Are you looking to start something?
Need something?
Well, if it isn't just gotten a new... Need more weapons or ammo?
Every time I see Radley smile, I want to punch him in the face.
Managing finances on be seeing you.
Welcome to the Freestar Collective. Please maintain your current course while we scan your ship. That's all we need. You're cleared for land.
So then I'll go to the bounty hunting booth, pay off my bounty in the other faction territory, and then I'll be good. And I'll have made profit even after paying off the bounty from those piracy missions.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Because otherwise, I'd have to like fight my way out or go to prison. And that means they get to search my ship.
Oh, so you come here to pay off your bounty? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, basically the reason why there's two factions, I think, is so that you can pay off your bounty at the mission at the bounty board.
Bit up there, huh?
At the other faction. But you pay an extra fee when you pay it off that way.
Okay.
Stealing to a family business.
You meet all sorts in Aquila City.
UC can't be that bad, can't?
If you need help, Miss Lance is just downstairs.
We got the side door. Piracy. Yeah, there's so many dead ships that are getting caught on the station.
I know, they're like, oh, I was wondering what the hell was going on with that.
Because during the quest line with the pirates, there's a big final battle.
Oh, and then they all kind of just fell into the gravity well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there's one just floating right here.
Oh, that ship looked kind of like the Serenity from Firefly, too. They have like that style. It kind of has a resemblance to it.
Clear.
It's similar. Yeah, I got one sitting right here. Yeah, it's kind of like this. So, kind of like the look there, a little bit.
Do you want to see what the Starborn ship's like?
Yeah.
Otherwise, the character's not much different. He just has different weapons and stuff because you lose your weapons when you move universes.
It's too bad you don't get to keep your stashes and go between the universes to the different stashes, you know?
Yeah.
They should have probably made that an option.
I think the whole point with the universes thing is it's like once you kind of wait, you don't have a control over where you end up.
It's too bad they didn't have like a control mechanism where you could not get lost in the multiverse, you know?
That'll be a mod, for sure. There'll be a mod for sure. Either bring your stuff with you, or to...
Like all your ships, like have like a planet where you're parking all your ships and like ships. You know, that'd be cool. That's how I would have done it. That's kind of like on that ship is kind of like how in Ahsoka her ship is like that, where it flies the same way, where it's level like that. And it's a similar style to Ahsoka's vessel. So it's more Star Wars reference in there.
Where can I go? Where I know I will find someone to fight. Because this ship's crazy. This ship does some nutty things that normal ships don't do. I jump over. Let's just see if there's a thing in that system. And also the interior of the ship is like way different. Says there isn't a random ship in orbit here. If I set. Oh. That's telling me about there. There's the ship in orbit.
Also, the way the Starborns are set up are kind of like some of the other temporal Cold War factions in Star Trek, where they're from different points in time fighting each other. Same thing with Cabal families that also diddly-dick with the timeline with through Montauk, where they compete with each other, racing family lines and doing all that nonsense like it's a sporting event. It's kind of similar in its own way to that, too. And like when you said the Starborns were all, some of them were competing with each other. That would be a problem if you had too many of them with different agendas.
All right, Barrett, you ready to play? I was born ready. I said you were. That was a goodie. Well, a rolling stone gathers no moss. Wait, that is a saying? No way. From old Earth. Got the slate to prove.
Abandon your slaves to this space.
I may be drunk, sir, but in the morning you'll still be ugly.
This is your last warning.
Where's that from? Some guy named Churchill. Wait, friend.
Yours has the ability to regenerate, it looks like. Yeah.
Longest grab drive is down. So sorry.
They got me. To be fair, I haven't fought a battle that hard with one of those ships yet, and that's like a boss ship, I think.
Oh, okay.
That's like a hard encounter, I think.
Oh, okay.
Well, I did hear a rumor that like there is a way to ease the ship, where if you build a ship that doesn't really have a center, so you build like a big box but with no center, they can't the ship AI like attacks the middle of the ship.
Oh, they can't attack you if you don't have the center to it? Oh.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Well, that's interesting. Or like a ring, kind of like in Ahsoka, where they have that ship that's now the ring, the intergalactic travel ship. It's kind of like that.
Are you prepared to face judgment?
That's how it was in Ahsoka, where the rebel fighters couldn't shoot at the ring ship. They had nothing to lock onto, really. So that's actually from their power as well. And then when it flew into hyperspace, they all got sucked into the vacuum and some blew up. All the X-wings got into the wake.
That big ship in the center. If I can keep that thing off me, it should be fine. But I keep getting caught in its line of fire.
Mm-hmm. You would think the Starborn would be extremely more powerful, infinitely more powerful than any of the regular ships.
I think they give you like a very mid. Like, this is the first time I do it. They give you better stuff each time you go to a new universe.
Oh, okay.
I set you up there. That was. stone gathers no moss.
Kind of like in Call of Duty, they have the whole prestige loop where you get like better stuff as you go along. Yeah.
Trucks, but in the morning you'll still be ugly.
Where's that?
Some guy named Churchill. Played a friend.
Yeah, they just call it other universes in this, but they had prestige in that franchise.
I don't have the firepower, I don't think, to take that thing down.
You almost did it a couple times, but you know.
I just wasn't doing enough damage. So I got rid of all of its like wing fighters, but I couldn't get rid of the center ship. Try one more time, and that's it. And I'm probably gonna have to go.
All right, Barrett.
Okay.
Ready to play?
I was born ready.
I sent you up there. That was an oldie but a goodie.
Well, Rolling Stone gathers no moss.
Wait, that is the same.
Abandon your plane
Got
in
sleep.
space, or face certain death. This is your
I
last
may be
warning.
trucks, but in the morning you'll still be ugly.
Where's that?
Some guy named Churchill. Jumping out of here.
They kind of look like the Imperial Star Cruiser, Star Destroyer types as well. Mixed with Giant Firefly.
I have to do is I have to get behind their ship, like by their engine. I can't shoot. Actually, should be good right here. I don't think they can do anything now.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get close to them, they can't shoot at you.
Well, that's the thing. Oh, they have one gun.
Yeah, you should have stayed behind them,
Fuck. I should have just stayed where I was.
Yeah, you should have stayed parked behind them, and you can't. Maybe in another run sometime what you do is you just park really close to them.
Yeah, the strategy is get rid of the side ships and then like hold this ship just steady behind it.
All right, Barrett, you ready to play? I was born ready. I set you up there. That was
abandon your planes to this space or face certain death.
Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Wait, that is the same? No way. From old Earth. Got the slate. But in the morning, you'll still be ugly. Where's that? Some guy named Church.
It's time for your judgment.
It's this ship. I'm just not good with this ship. Because usually ships have 3 weapon systems. This one has 2, and the controls are messed up from what I'm normally used to. So I'm used to the 3rd weapon system, the missiles being on the Y key. So anytime
they made it harder for you to start out. Yeah. That's how it is with the Prestige too, where you don't have as much. Yeah.
Wait, that is the same? No way. From old Earth. Got the slate.
Try one more time. Well, I did that one really quick.
I may be drunk, sir, but in the morning you'll still be ugly. Where's that? Some guy named Churchill.
Sort of below and behind.
They lost ground jump capability.
Too bad you can't get one to crash into the other. That would do it.
Yeah, I mean, they do take damage if you crash into them, but you take damage like equal.
Like if you get one enemy ship to crash into the other, get distracted or something, you know.
Oh yeah, no, they won't do that.
Man, it looks like a pain in the ass. Yeah.
It is one of the hardest space battles I've ever had in the game. I think the strategy is keep away from the big ships while you're fighting the small ships.
And then go behind the big one and just keep hitting. Yeah.
Well, a rolling stone gathers no moss. That is the same.
The big ship has a problem hitting you if you're like staying away from it.
Trucks, but in the morning you'll still be ugly.
It just means I have to pepper kind of the smaller ships so I can really whittle them down. That's fun.
Yeah, I figured.
Fire, I couldn't get anywhere else. My engines were too weak. I need something with really beefy engines to be able to do that. Because the problem is the problem is it's if you watch the bars on the left, if I go in and I don't keep hitting them hard enough, they'll hit me hard enough where my engines will go down, and that reaches my max speed. And I need the speed. The speed is my real only advantage with this ship.
Rolling stone gathers no moss. That is the same. Old Earth. Got the slate. I may be drunk, sir, but in the morning you'll still be.
this. I'm done with this until I can get a better ship for that universe. I don't have the money there yet.
What's interesting is also at times, the whole thing with the Starborn is sometimes, when you get to a certain level of perception, you almost feel like you're a Starborn versus a regular person in a universe. That's how I've kind of felt too. Where you're around people call them normies. That's like a rude term that's out there, but I've run into that where it's so instant like splitting of the densities where you feel like you're from outside that. That's kind of like that. And also the Cabal is that way. And Martian Germans are that way too, far removed, whereas they don't see they see themselves as not having checks and balances or somebody to have laws over them. So like what was said by some insiders, where it's just like, what would you become if you had no rules? That's kind of how I see some of the Starborns too, where they don't really have a governing system. But that's actually interesting how that went. I like that. I'm gonna have to get a copy of that at some point. That's PS5 as well.
No.
Hmm.
PC and Xbox.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I got Xbox. I might as well try it. Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting. I hope people enjoyed this. This. I don't know if you have any other words to add, Ryan, before we take this out.
I do not.
Okay. Yeah, I will also. I also say I'm closing this circle with true benevolence and no conflicting agendas. I got to get in the habit of doing that for each and every recording. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. I know there's a lot of gameplay in there. I wasn't expecting the gameplay this time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Interesting enough, the two factions also in Starfield are a reflection of the Galactic Federation and also Earth. The way you want, the values to be. One's more fascist, communist, Marxist, and the other one is earthly. It's not just some of the other factions on Earth that were being referenced. I just wanted to bring that up because that's a beautiful example. I haven't even seen a finer one. So I would go definitely look at that. I'm going to get that game or try to. So maybe this weekend grab a copy of that while I have enough money to pay for it. So it's actually looks pretty decent. I should be able to report more the more I find. So, because Ryan are going to do more shows on Starfield, definitely. I didn't know anything about it. I knew it was being released. That's it. I didn't know the story, and he dug into it, and he was very good at digging into that. So, and found a lot. So, it is 8:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Thank you. Well, another reference to Firefly is, that's also like Starfield, is the fact there's no aliens. You just see animal-like things, but you don't even, in Firefly, you don't even see that. You just see humans that used up the Earth and they colonized the known verse, and Alliance territories with the Outer Rim world. That's it. It's very similar in Starfield, and it's that and Star Wars put together. But yeah, even the animal aliens that you see, or alien animals you see in Starfield, you don't see in Firefly. But there's another common theme: no aliens. And the one time that somebody claims to have an alien, it's a circus sideshow there in Firefly. That's a series I would like to see come back. Disney, don't screw it up, please. I'm just saying. I know Joss Whedon possibly sold it to you. It was a rumor. I can't substantiate that. I never thought I would. The only time you can substantiate any rumor about anything is if you talk to the person themselves. But all the years that he could have put that back out, the popularity, building the popularity on all sorts of the sci-fi channels out there and all these channels and everything, could have brought it back. What's he do? Sell it to Disney. Bad move because they're just going to reboot it. You don't want to reboot it. You want to continue it. That's where I'm at because it has such a fan following. Disney, don't screw it up, please. I'm all for it continuing, but continue it in its original format. Don't reboot and have these same characters come back. You use the same actors and you continue, or if it's going to be a different crew, they just make reference to, and you continue it. Don't reboot. People seem to mess that concept up quite a bit. Like if something like the Star Trek Kelvin timeline, which I abhor, they kept saying, "Oh, it's a reboot." No, it's a continuation because they added into the overall canon. You know, the reboot is when you completely undo everything and reboot it. There's the difference right there. Don't undo everything. Don't undo everything that was there. Continue on where Serenity left off. That's all you gotta do. Disney. That's all you gotta do. That's all I'm saying. So it is 10:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Thank you.